So I did, you referenced when we talked the choice survey. And so I would
Yeah.
love to have you talk about, I know you had interviewed Robert Kiyosaki, Dr. John Gray, and, several actors and athletes,
Yeah.
very fluent people and accomplished people. And you asked the question, what percentage of life is choice and what percentage of life is circumstance? Can you just share a little bit about the results and the thought behind that choice
Let,
survey?
sure. Yeah. The basic thought behind it was, and still is, if people choose, right now it's 83.7% choice and, 16.3% it's the circumstance.
Mm-hmm.
If we, if people were saying it's 83% choice, what's missing in life? I mean, and I know these are all accomplished people. I mean, and others. But what I'm trying to do is build an awareness that if you're saying it's 30% choice and 70% circumstance,
Mm-hmm.
it's another way of trying to awaken within yourself, the amount of choice that is in front of you, because none of us can climb into each other's head
Mm-hmm.
and make the choice for us. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we're the only ones who can make the choice. The pressure can be all around us, coming into us,
Mm-hmm.
but when it comes down to the snap,
Yep.
and the call, that's the choice. Or it comes down to the throw, it's the choice. And there are some interesting surprises. Uh, Roger Staubach was probably the biggest surprise. I mean, I was just felt so blessed to talk to him. He was
Yeah.
just such a humble individual.
Yeah.
But I thought his was answer is going to be, 90-10, 80-20,
Right.
something like that. He said it was 40% choice, 60% of his circumstances.
Wow.
And that's kind of, I tried not to, and the guy, the co-host there that was with me, we tried not to gasp. I mean, I think we probably gasped out loud, and
Yeah.
because we were expecting something completely different, and it was like, okay, wow, and then he went on to explain. He went on to
Okay.
explain that that he grew up in he was an only child. He had parents who stayed together. He lived in a good neighborhood. He went to good schools. He had great coaches.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, and there's a lot of kids, a lot of people in the world who don't have those opportunities. So he looked at it as it was only 40% was his choice,
Yeah.
which I was humbled by. And then on
Yeah.
the other end, Robert Kiyosaki said 100%. Actress Dee Wallace, who was in Cujo and E.T. and all these other
Mm-hmm.
movies. She's been in hundreds of movies. She just 100% choice.
Yeah.
But Rudy Rudiger, I think, gave the most fascinating answer. Rudy said, "Well, considering that your circumstances are where you are, and you got there because of choices that you made,
Yeah.
and what's going to happen next is going to happen because of a choice that you're going to make.
Mm-hmm.
Life has to be 100% choice."
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, uh, I thought that was just really a spot on way to look at it. It is hard to accept 100% choice.
Right. Wow.
So what's your take on it then? We'll add you to the questionnaire.
So I will subscribe to the 100% choice end of the spectrum for sure. And I think, and I'm not just saying that because you've already explained it, but so I think it ties into at the core this series that I'm really trying to use as the launch for this second year of Catalyst. But the Catalyst name in and of itself is about taking action, right? A catalyst is part of a reaction. It's something that instigates a reaction or activity in general. And the with action comes choices. So I think there's a core fundamental there. But the at the core series, even further and more specifically, your choice is what's at your core, whereas your environment is what would be around the core, right? And so or your circumstances, right, would be what's around the core, and it has influence on your choice. But at the end of the day, your choice is what's at the core. It's what's most important. And I think I think that's a great way to, kind of tie this in. I feel like I could just, use that as a soundbite and be done with the conversation, but in all seriousness, I hope that, gives a little bit more support. Of course, anything Robert Kiyosaki endorses, I'm going to be, ready to line up for.
Well, he was a character. Uh, he's quite a character. He's a pilot too, so we had some fun chatting about that. It's as you talked about it yourself, it being at the fundamental. There's the thought that crossed my mind was, it doesn't mean it's going to be easy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's still a choice.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean that you're going to show up with your wheels up friends, on a day when you don't feel like showing up.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's still just two choices. I'm either going to be there or I'm not, and then at the next level, it could be, I'm either going to participate at, this level, or perhaps that's just one of those days where you say, I'm not going to participate. So it doesn't mean that, when I ask the question, it doesn't mean it's easy.
Right.
It just mean that it just is.
Right.
We're all, and it's inescapable. It's unavoidable. Choice is inescapable and unavoidable, and that's why in the if you don't mind my mentioning, I have some downloads that that they could download. They could see what the just two choices diagram looks like.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of them you download, you cut it out, and you fold it in half, and one half of it is an open sign that says open. You want to hang that out, and the other side says closed. Just two choices, right? Something's either open or it's closed. Yeah. And the other one has is a just two choices diagram that has I call them Captain Hook you down at the bottom, because we find ourselves getting hooked into old habits. We find ourselves getting hooked into old choices. And I think Yoda has one of the best quotes in answering Luke that I think explains habit patterns. Luke asked Yoda once in one of the old series, he goes, is the dark side stronger? And Yoda goes, no, it's quicker, it's easier, it's more seductive. It's quicker and easier, more seductive to just roll over in bed and just not get out, or to not do your morning routine, or to not do something that needs to be, that is the better choice to make. It's just quicker and easier. And so both of those downloads, you can cut out and hang them somewhere in your house, just as a reminder of which one's going to take you in that upward trajectory, toward to what it is that you really, really want. And even if it's just a shallow climb, that doesn't have to be a rocket ship climb, but it's better than making that other choice and going that direction.
Yeah, absolutely. And now those are on just2choices.com.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, thank you. Just2choices.com. And we're keeping it kind of general. So if you just do /radio.
Okay.
Just2choices.com /radio, and you can just download them from there.
Okay. Yeah, I will have links in the show notes as well.
Okay. Oh, and there's the first chapter of the book too. So
there you go.
Just go download that, and that's all you need. First chapter of the book. Just need.
Yeah, that's awesome.
All three.
So when you were describing that, it made me think. Oh man, sorry, I'm trying to get back on track. I wanted to make sure we caught that website, but when you were going through that, it just made me think about. Sorry.
What is it? The open closed, or is it the Captain Hooky Yoda?
Well, yeah, it was something that you said when you were sharing the Yoda quote, but I think about just the simplicity of it, right? When you were saying it doesn't mean it's easy, right? And I think where my mind goes when you're talking about that, and what resonates with me, especially when we talk about morning routine. It's how core consistency is, right? Whether um, I think consistency is the secret and how you hijack making big changes. Because consistency is ties in commitment and discipline, and that's what is going to set those incremental changes up that you may not see, but end up getting that bigger win, that bigger change. And a lot of things, yeah, a lot of morning routine is a good example. I know when you talk about just two choices, one of the things that I went through a season this year where I just changed my habits, and I was willing to hit the snooze button where I'd gone for a long time without struggling with that, and just went through a season where I was like, oh, and I'll just hit snooze button one time, and then I got creative, right? And I was trying to like outsmart myself, and I moved my phone around the room and
Yeah.
changed changed the alarm times, and tried to disrupt that, and eventually it worked. But I think it took, honestly, it took a conversation with someone that I had on the podcast somewhat recently, that he was very um, very committed, and very emphatic about, hey, that's like starting the day by choosing to hit snooze does not align with what you want out of yourself. Some people may choose to do that, but from a medically proven, and just from studies that have been done, you're not going to get any return on that choice. Whereas if you get out of bed, you get going, you're not starting the day with that, with that interrupt. So that was kind of where my head was going as you described that, because I think that's a really important aspect of this.
Well, it is, and I'm glad you mentioned it too, because that's I just had that discussion with a friend this morning.
Okay.
Thing. I can use some improvement on that myself.
Yeah, it's and that's a whole conversation, right? Morning routine, and setting things up. But I love using that as kind of an analogy, or reference here. I think that's a good platform, a good analogy for thinking about just two choices, right? Because how you start your day and end your day are so important about your energy. And obviously you have less, typically most people have less energy in the evenings to make choices, and so using that just basic awareness, to plan things differently, and not wait until 6 p.m. to figure out what you're having for dinner when you're starving, and Taco Bell's, or whatever is the closest thing. We've all done it, right? I mean, I don't think anybody's immune to that, but I think that's what I think about when I think about this framework that you've introduced. And I think being able to use the least amount of brain power and energy to have a framework like this, where you can use your energy on the choice, right? And not, oh, well, if I'm going to make this decision, I need to go reference this fancy diagram over here, and it's got all these if then statements, and then maybe I'll get to the decision I need. Yeah, you can overthink things, right? And I'm just using that as kind of a broad example of saying